I'm convinced cats are the devil on earth, but
I hate cats. Ready to rock?
that's my.
Let's go.
We've been rocking.
Welcome, everybody, to the pod. This pod is the second Commission Impossible that we are doing. We had this idea a couple weeks ago to do a variation or a riff on the Mountain West pod. So it's kind of a sub pod, but already has had great reception. It's the number 2 pod of everything that we've done so far. So maybe we're on to something. We're excited about it, and we'd love to keep delivering great content. So with that, I would like to introduce our 2 guests for this pod. The first one, Troy Hardy, who really at this point has become a regular, although we didn't technically invite him back. But when we started at the time, he was already in the seat. So at this point, he's a regular. Welcome. Or maybe you should be doing the intro at this point. I don't know.
I'm honored to not be doing the intro. Thank you.
That's perfect. So no intro needed by Troy.
Nope.
But we also have JR Howa, who has been on the pod before on the multifamily segment and gave us a bunch of great industry insight in multifamily. But he's here now to hang out with us a little bit and talk about whatever we're going to talk about.
Love it. Look forward to it.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
J.R. Howa, here at Newmark Mountain West with these 2 fine gentlemen and others, and just stoked to be here, man.
I love it. So we got a lot of crazy stuff to talk about today, and I think we just jump right into it. Troy, you want to go first? What's your topic du jour?
Yeah, I want to talk about cats.
Cats.
Thundercats? No, I don't want to talk about cats. So we started talking about this a little bit earlier prior to this pod starting, but there have been a bunch of restaurant closures in Salt Lake City over the past few years. And I don't have any of the answers, but I have some questions that I'd love to pose to you guys and our audience. But as far as I understand, at a minimum, 18 restaurants have closed in Salt Lake City over the past few years. Among that number, and most recently, we saw the news of Market Street closing downtown and Cucina, Toscana closing.
Yeah. Both of those are just like
they're
institutions.
Staples. Exactly. So, I started doing a little research, like why is this happening and why is Red Lobster continuing to be open?
We know that.
Why do bad things happen to good people, right? And so what I found is that not only are rents increasing, we talked a little bit about that. Occupancy costs have gone up, but it's very evident that labor costs are up now almost 40% since the kind of the beginning of COVID, and even just food costs are now up, approaching 35-40%. So. This seems to be completely unsustainable. I think we're going to see more restaurant closures, which is really sad. So if you're a fan of a restaurant, for us, it's we go to the same like 4 restaurants, and they know that we love them.
Taco Bell, Del Taco, Taco Time.
We've talked about this. So Taco Bell doesn't classify as a restaurant because it doesn't have a kitchen, but it's a great place to get warm food product, right? No, we're
But do you think it's just like, is it the end of these great local mom and pop restaurants as we know them?
I genuinely think consumer habits have changed, and I think Utah is known far and wide as a lover of the mediocre.
Yeah, we've not been known for our culinary pursuits,
Which is really interesting because you look at a lot of the great restaurants that have opened up that are locally owned, and the culinary expertise is actually pretty impressive,
right?
And it's unfortunate to see them struggling, where you've got the chains that just seem to continue to be crushing it.
And there are some success stories, right? There are some chef-driven concepts that have found a home in Utah and have had success, but it's just sad every time you see one of these guys close, someone who's been around 30, 40 years.
Yeah. And then who backfills that? Who backfills Market Street? Who backfills the other ones? It's like you never get the same quality of restaurant or even a restaurant.
Yeah.
That backfills.
They just turn into data centers and we just move on.
Micro data centers.
Micro data.
Well, maybe they're permitted. I don't know.
Yeah, they could be. They could be.
So your thing is it's just rising costs all the way through.
Yeah,
the
labor
entire,
costs, food costs, and then obviously occupancy costs. So everything is basically pushing against the small business owner and the restaurant owner, and these guys are just to the point where they're living like week to week, paycheck to paycheck. Why do you continue to choose that lifestyle? We already know that owning a restaurant requires 80, 100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
So
You better be making-
doing that for nothing,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
Well, and I think too, I mean, not only from all that perspective, but then you also just look at like consumer debt, right? I mean, how often are people actually still eating out? Are they still going out 3-4 times a week? And then you've got DoorDash, which you can get it delivered right to your door. And, if you're choosing between going to a local restaurant in the city or sitting on the couch and ordering DoorDash, that local restaurant might not be there, right? And so you just I have 4 regulars on my DoorDash that I just click reorder, and it's probably part of the problem.
Yeah. To your point, like if you're ordering through DoorDash, a smaller percentage of that order, that cash actually ends up in the pocket of that business owner, right? I mean, pricing is different for a DoorDash customer. And there are many groups, I was talking to a fast food concept just the other day, that have now canceled their DoorDash affiliation.
Yeah.
They can't sustain the DoorDash orders.
Yeah,
And are
I've
they
heard that.
losing money on the DoorDash, or is it?
Yeah, it's a good question. He didn't say they were losing money, but he said it no longer made sense.
They make less money on that
Yeah.
on that order.
Yep.
And so at some point there's a diminishing return where it's not worth even doing it, right?
Yeah.
Which probably then feeds the cycle of death that you just referred to, because you have your 4 go-tos and the 5th one dropped off and you can't find it, and then it's just like dead to you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I look back at my time, owning a restaurant, and I honestly, I sit back and I go, why would anybody ever do this?
Right.
Like, to be totally honest, and to all the same things you said, also on the real estate side, you think, hey, if someone's coming in and they're redoing the gas line, or they're redoing the road, or they're putting in bike lanes, or, doing whatever it is, like all of those have consequences down the line that I'm not sure that people actually think about that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the other thing that was cited in the story, is that, there's so much construction that's been happening in downtown Salt Lake City over the past few years that it's just damaging these restaurants' ability to do business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like the 9th and 9th corridor, or 9th South corridor, was under construction for years. And people would always say, oh, it's only 8 months or whatever for your segment. Well, 8 months for a mom and pop restaurant is life or death.
Yeah.
It might not be
Yeah.
for Del Taco or whatever, who can sustain it with all the other units they have, but they have 1 unit and 1 restaurant,
Right.
and they pull just so much money out of it. And if you're out of commission for 8 months, or your sales are half for 8 months, you're done.
Yeah. It's amazing we haven't seen more closures in Sugar House with all
Yeah.
the construction that's occurred there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. And also I just think restaurants in general, the food supply in general, is just kind of becoming so formulaic that you order your food from Cisco or whatever the food supplier is, and it's all the same.
Yeah.
And so, a Costa Vida or Cafe Rio, which I like both those restaurants, go to them all the time. Like, they're all getting their food from the same place. No one's sourcing food from farmers anymore.
Right.
These local restaurants are, and these mom and pops are, but that's increasingly harder to do. It's harder to source. It's more expensive. Like, why am I going out and busting my tail to get fresh tomatoes from some guy that grows them in Cache Valley when Cisco can just deliver it for me?
Especially if the majority of the customer base can't tell the difference.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's, I think, and oftentimes you can't, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's depressing. Thanks for...
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, guys.
So no more DoorDash. Go to
You
local
need to cut it
restaurants.
off, bro.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah. And I'll stop going to Taco Bell. I'm sorry, everybody.
Deal.
All right, I'm going to jump into an interesting topic that is kind of near and dear to my heart. It should be near and dear to every Utahns' heart. And it is. Well, first of all, the wildfires have been crazy.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning, I stepped outside, felt like I was in the middle of a campfire.
Yeah.
And, it's 90 degrees already in the morning. You can't see more than a mile. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's a brutal season. So it got me thinking, how bad is this season? And I had none of the info on this, but I looked it up. You know what the worst season was? Fire season in the state of Utah was 2007. 600,000 acres burned,
Wow.
which is crazy. But already this year, we have burned more than 100,000 acres. And so we're not off to a historic start, but we're off to a very, very bad start.
We're drier than we've ever been.
We're drier than we've ever been. It's brutal.
Well, and it'd be interesting, like how much of those 6,000 acres were kind of like wilderness fires, like away from residents? Because it seems like the fires we've been hearing about in the last like 2 weeks have been right in like densely populated urban areas.
You know this intimately.
I do.
Almost burned your house down a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I, as far as I can remember, I don't recall a time in which the fires were just right in the valley. You got one in Tooele right now. You got two that were in Salt Lake. There's that huge one down south that I just read something as I was walking in
outside
here.
of Eureka.
The ski resort, that private ski resort outside of Beaver has been totally decimated.
No, that's a different one. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't understand the urban side of it though. It's hard to. Most of those are started by man, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, you get on X or anywhere else, you kind of hear mixed things. But you had the one behind the Capitol, you had the Memory Grove one, and then you had the University of Utah one. And you look on the fire report, and it says all three were human caused.
Yeah.
Which
what does that even mean? What does that? How do you start a fire unless intentional?
Quick disclaimer. I know where all my kids have been.
Yeah.
For the past 3 weeks. And we don't own any fireworks. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think, some of it stems from, encampments. I think some of it is probably malicious. I think some of it's probably accidental. I mean, we know the one in Memory Grove, they arrested someone for that fire. So obviously there's got to be a reason to believe there was some sort of
It's just a
arson.
guy with a lighter.
I don't know if it was a lighter. I don't know if he had a cigarette and he flicked it and it lit on fire. Luckily they were able to get it out. And like someone that's been so close to it, I have to give Salt Lake City Fire massive props because like they show up in like 3 seconds and they just kind of go running right into it, So, but I don't know. Like, I think that's the scary part is anybody that has a gripe or a grudge or, unfortunate, like mental instability, like it's just like, I feel like I'm going to light this hill on fire and, massive consequences and super, super scary. I mean, it takes so many resources away from, everything else is happening in the city.
Well, it's funny too, because it just seems sort of removed. I mean, not for you, because you literally had a fire steps from your house.
I feel like we're doxing JR right now. Should we just tell everyone where he lives?
It's one of the 12 fires that was burned. But
he lives in Beaver, everybody.
But where it becomes real is like what happened in California, where it spills over into actual houses and commercial, and then you have billions or tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars of real damage. So really what I wanted to talk about was water and how that relates to commercial real estate and everything else that's happening in the state of Utah. But the fires are kind of the gateway drug into the water situation. And the water situation is tough. It's brutal right now. It's the worst I think I've ever seen it in my lifetime. Just looked up a couple stats before I walked in. The reservoirs in the state of Utah are at 65% capacity right now in June, which is really, really early in the season. That's 18% lower than they were last year, this time of year. Lake Powell is at 24% capacity. So, we definitely need a big snow year this coming year. But this is where it gets interesting. I drove by, as part of my preparation for this, both of your houses, just to get a check on what things look like. Do you guys have any idea how much the average Utahn uses per day in gallons of water?
Are we talking about my neighbor or the average Utahn?
Average person in Utah uses 207 gallons of water a day. So you're like, cool, what does that mean? We are third in the nation for water consumption.
That is scary.
Right above us.
We just have a lot of kids, right? That's all it is long showers.
Right above us is Wyoming and Idaho. And we're pretty much all the same. Depends on the year. We kind of bounce back and forth. But those three states are the highest per per capita users of residential culinary domestic water.
And that's wild that it's just residential culinary.
Yeah.
Because you start thinking about the use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Well,
And with the farmers, like that's got to be massive.
So I'll get there.
Okay.
So what percentage of the culinary water is used for landscaping in the state of Utah? Let's take a guess.
30%.
it's going to be a low number.
65%.
So I was right.
65% of the culinary water is used for landscaping in the state of Utah. And so you drive by Troy's house and he has this palatial, mansion
Yeah.
with 3 acres of lawn that's literally as green as you could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's not.
And we all have laughed about it over the years, right? It's like, oh, yeah, Utah, we have lawns. But I think we've reached an inflection point where it's just not sustainable at this point anymore. We all know we live in the desert, the high desert. So is Wyoming, so is Nevada, so is Idaho, many parts of Idaho. But like the gig's up.
Do you think that shifts if the pricing of water changes? Because I mean, Salt Lake City's obviously talked about that. Like, how do you? Because I mean, I've thought
This is a terrible idea. Just so you know. Don't
I'm
even
not.
suggest this.
I'm not saying
Don't
it's a
put
good
it out
idea.
in the ether.
But a couple of years ago, we thought about redoing the landscaping, going to xeriscape, but then we had the massive fire behind us.
Yeah.
And we were like, no, we need landscaping because we
a
need
buffer.
fire suppression or a sprinkler system, whether it's green or not. Like we have to be able to turn on the water.
Yeah.
And, I'm with you. I mean, I look at, you drive, people are watering their yards at 3:00 in the afternoon, probably not the right time to do it. Like, how do you think we solve it?
So the city has a scale. And
Yes.
and the more you use, the more you pay.
It's
right?
a- It's actually punitive.
it's
So over a certain
extremely
amount,
punitive.
it
Yeah.
charges you more and more and more.
Right. So there's certainly an incentive to not water, and obviously during the day and other times when it doesn't really have any positive impact. But I think there's a bigger problem here, and you touched on it, which is the culinary water that we're using. So there are other cities that use a lot of water,
Mm-hmm.
but that water isn't culinary; it's secondary.
Right.
And the city of Salt Lake, to my knowledge, does not have a secondary water system.
Well, the city of Salt Lake actually has great water.
Culinary water.
Well, they own most of the water all along the Wasatch
Right.
and parts
Right.
of the back.
Right.
So they got a ton of water. The problem is it's a finite resource, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you said something about what if we just increase the cost? The cost of water in Salt Lake City has gone up 100% in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And it
Okay,
has
scratch
made-
that idea.
Yeah, well, I don't. I mean, at some point,
Yeah, it's
obviously.
kind of. I feel like it's been the tool that the city has had at their disposal, right? Like
Yeah.
we'll just keep raising costs, but what happens is the consumer just keeps using the water.
Yeah. The problem is we can talk about impact fees too. So like that's a huge thing that's happening right now in commercial real estate in the state of Utah. For the first time in forever, we actually have water connection fees that are substantial.
Yeah.
Like you want to do a Walmart development as an example, or a grocery store development as an example in Salt Lake City, you're probably going to pay between $100,000 and $300,000 to the city for a water connection fee.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Tooele. Tooele's, infamous for not having enough water.
Right.
Same thing there. Walmart, grocery store, whatever. It could be $300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bank, do you want to do a freestanding bank out there or a freestanding restaurant? Could be $100,000.
Well, how long ago was it when Salt Lake City, because there were still properties that had water shares and they basically rolled all the water shares in just in the culinary and said, hey, give us your water shares. We'll supply you with unlimited water. How long ago was that? Like that's
Before
been
my
within the
time,
last,
I know
that's-
Holiday City still does shares,
but that was like
Mill
within the
Creek
last
does
10
shares.
years.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like
It
you
could
look
be.
at Tooele, you got to go out and buy the water shares,
Yeah.
which I mean,
Kennecott or Tooele City owns most of the water out there.
yeah, which reduces a lot of the water usage. Because they're just sitting on it.
Mhm.
But can you imagine? We're Sugar House Park. We are watering that park with culinary water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Culinary drinking water.
Yeah. And just to step back and look at the overall Utah picture, this is really brutal, but 75% of the water in the state of Utah, so both culinary, any water, any and all water, 75% of it is used for agricultural,
Right.
which is,
So,
alfalfa farms or whatever.
and that's a third rail type comment, especially among farmers.
Yeah.
So I recently had the great opportunity to help a long-time multi-generational farmer sell a farm in Box Elder County, of all places. And when farmers talk about land, there's the irrigated land and there's the non-irrigated land, right? And you can almost not put a value on the unirrigated portion of farmland. It's worthless. But the irrigated farmland is of immense value. What's the difference? Those water shares, right? And so as you hear people, have the conversation about the Box Elder data center, it's never been about the land, right? It's never been it's always been about the water.
Yeah. But I think that's why the data center, or one of the reasons why the data center was such a white hot topic, is because we're grappling with all these massive water shortage problems, and the cost of water is skyrocketing, and we're all being told conserve, conserve, conserve. And then suddenly it's like, okay, we're going to pump 8 Lake Powells into this data center. I'm being hyperbolic, but I think that was part of the problem there.
But if you're a farmer and you own water share and you've drilled the wells, you've spent the money, you're accessing water from that, that groundwater aquifer, whatever it is, that water is watering crops and then returning back to the groundwater to some extent, right? A data center is very different. And obviously our gray water is very different, right? It needs to be treated and before we send it down the line to Vegas. So,
well, how do you take the irrigated part of the land? They flood it, right?
No.
I mean, you drive by some of them and they just
those are the older farms still use flooding or irrigation.
So they flood it. Like, does the state or the counties go and try to give some of these old farmers incentives to put in actual sprinkling systems or something, and to kind of reduce that water? Because sometimes you just see them completely.
To my knowledge,
flooded.
if you have those water shares, you use them.
Well, yeah, it's a use or lose, right? So I guess my question is there a mechanism that the state should look at of, hey, how do we, instead of the use it or lose it, incentivize the farmers to potentially put sprinkling systems in and remove the use it or lose it, and just say, hey, you always have access to it. But if you don't use it, there's some sort of tax incentive. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's above my pay grade, but a way to kind of help preserve that. Because I wonder how much of it people would, or how much, and maybe they wouldn't. I don't know.
You're talking pivots right now, man.
Pivot. You're talking to the pivot king.
You're talking about pivots. I love talking about pivots.
Yep.
I guess my take is just that water is, we know it's everything in Utah, but we have had the luxury of using any and all amount of water that we wanted to for our entire history. But
those days are numbered. Yeah.
I think they're over already. And so if you're in commercial real estate or you're in real estate in Utah, you are going to be hearing about water nonstop, more and more and more. It is going to be an issue that's at the forefront. Cities can keep charging larger and larger impact fees or connection fees. And that's great because that money goes to reinvest into the water system in that city. But that's not fixing the problem. The problem is we are very poor users of water. We use way too much. We live in the desert, and it's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop, then natural forces and market forces will make it stop. And that's going to suck for everybody.
Well, drain your pools, boys.
Yep. Both of your pools.
Yeah, I'll drain both of my pools. You guys drain your pool. Yeah.
I just use my neighbors.
Oh, good. Smart.
What you got, JR?
I mean, this is not really on the real estate side. I mean, I think it's more so just like market in general. I mean, we had the largest IPO ever in the history of the world, a week ago with SpaceX, that just kind of skyrocketed value. I mean, crazy. I remember growing up being like, you'll never see a trillionaire. You now see a trillionaire, And I read something really interesting as I was just kind of Googling. This blew my mind. The average American's net worth is closer to Jeff Bezos than Jeff Bezos's net worth is to Elon Musk.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because Bezos is probably worth like 200, 300 billion. And I don't know what Elon is, but 1.2 trillion, whatever it is, 1.4 trillion.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
And so I was just kind of looking through and I was like, man, like this is crazy, you know, what it was doing in the market. And, you know, I was looking at the close of the S&P yesterday, and over the last 5 days, we've basically seen like a 12% drawdown on the S&P.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of went back and I was like, okay, like how often does that happen? Going back just to 2020, it happened during COVID, and it happened again in the trade wars last April with on the tariffs with Trump, and this week. And it's crazy because like I feel like COVID, the tariffs, everybody was in like a full blown panic, and everybody, like even on the real estate side, you know, everybody's like, hey, what is this going to have? What is this going to do to our real estate? Like liquidity, how do we navigate this? And this week it's just like, it seems like a nothing burger. It seems like no one's really all that worried because it just is going to bounce back. I don't know if you guys are seeing the same thing or like what your takes are, but it just doesn't seem like there's the markets on both the real estate and the equity side. Like there's much concern right now.
You're 100% right. I just feel like we're desensitized to some extent or another. We were talking about this on another pod, but at the beginning of the year in January or February, whenever Trump went all in on this Iran thing, markets basically froze. The commercial real estate market froze. Investment sales essentially ground to a halt. We're finally seeing those happening again. But I felt like that was like one of the last times where people really genuinely paused and were like, you know what, we're just going to let this situation pass and see what happens. Now it's like market drops 12%. Yeah, sounds good. What are you guys doing for lunch?
Yeah.
Should we go get steak and frites? It's just crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just like a tech thing, but it felt like I remember last year and even during COVID, it was like everyone you were talking to was in like a panic.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, the market dropped 12%. And to your point, it's like, oh, okay, well, what are we having for lunch?
It's like easy come, easy go, right? The market was up 20%, 3 days ago or whatever it was, right? It's just like, yeah, it's going to do that right now.
Yeah.
Where this is insane, what we're seeing.
I mean, everyone keeps talking about a bubble, and it's, you can keep talking about it till you're blue in the face, but it just keeps happening. It keeps going up. Goes down a little bit, goes up higher. Goes down a little bit, goes up even higher.
Yeah.
And commercial real estate, in a lot of ways, has been the beneficiary of an incredible run the last, since COVID.
Yeah. Which I think this is kind of, the other thing I started thinking about is I was looking at just like the tech stocks. And this, I think, relates to the real estate side, is the AI and the data center stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't need to talk about Box Elder County and but I was just looking at the amount of usage the AI is getting. Like, I'm just curious, like, how often are you using AI, and like on the real estate side, like what are you kind of seeing? Are your clients using it? Like how are we navigating like this AI? Because honestly, like I get emails from people and I'm like, I don't know if I'm talking to like one of the AI models or if I'm actually talking to a client.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends if she wanted to go on a date with you. Then it's probably AI. Yeah.
Well, no one's wanted to do that for quite a while, so it's definitely going to be.
I think we're using it so often now, just in our daily, just daily tasks, that it's starting to become discernible. I have a funny story. I have a friend of mine who received a call from another friend who was up in Box Elder and said, hey, can you help me with a petition for this data center? And he used AI to draft the petition. I mean, that's without even really thinking about it, right? So I mean, my kids are using it every day. I'm using it every day. You're using it we're all using it every day.
I think it's totally ubiquitous, and I think
it's just become part of it's become part of our lives now.
Yeah, I think I use it obviously for spreadsheets and for modeling and for IRRs or whatever, and that's immensely helpful. JR in particular is really invested in that and is great at that. I also just use it every single day, probably 50 times a day for menial tasks. Like I need to do a mortgage payment. I need to, figure out what restaurant's open, what restaurant closed, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's probably, I would guess it saves me a couple hours a day, But
what do you do with the extra time?
I doom scroll.
Yeah.
I just look at
just
memes.
just want to make sure.
I just doom scroll.
You ask AI more questions.
Yeah. But I think what's interesting is commercial real estate is very slow to adapt and very boring and the opposite of all things tech, right?
It's a slow burn.
And so I'm slowly coming to the opinion that it's going to be hard to disrupt commercial real estate with AI or with tech or whatever. I really think it's going to be super supplemental. If your job in commercial real estate is you're working for a fund and you're doing analytics and you're running pro formas, that's a tough place to be.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to be.
Do you think it is negatively affecting like the younger generation that are coming into the real estate world and them not fully understanding all the nuances of this business and kind of like really understanding how a deal gets put together because they're just relying so heavily on AI? Or do you think it's helping them?
Yeah, no, I can't remember where we had this conversation, but I don't know if it was on a pod or somewhere else, but I was talking to people about this very subject, and all of us grew up in the business or any business that you're in, and you struggle and you have to research something and you make mistakes and you learn about it. And that's how we become experts in our field. But what happens if you can skip first and second base and just go to third base, but you don't have any of the experiences of first and second? You're kind of faking it. It's like the fake it till you make it, but you never learned anything. But does it actually matter? That's the question.
Yeah.
Does it actually matter? Does it actually matter that you don't understand what an IRR is and you never put an IRR formula together from the ground up? Does it matter?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it only matters is if in that spreadsheet it does a wrong formula and you don't understand why.
Yeah.
People like us will be dinosaurs in 10 or 20 years when younger people are running IRRs and running, whatever formulas. And we say, oh, well, wait a second, let's crack that open. They'll be like, oh, okay, here's the old guy. You're better than the AI model. Okay, man.
It goes back to that comment that, AI isn't going to take the jobs. It's people using AI who are going to be taking the jobs, right?
Yeah.
And that certainly is true when it comes to commercial real estate.
It's in a lot of ways, I think there's a dumbing down. It's like that movie. What was that movie? Idiocracy. Have you guys ever seen that?
I don't think so.
It's a terrible movie.
Your movie polls are
they're so bad.
Niche, dude.
They're so bad. Idiocracy.
This is somebody who's watched every Rambo movie a dozen times.
Yeah, those are the greatest.
They're the greatest movies of all time.
I'm convinced 1986 was the greatest movie year in the history of mankind.
But 84 was the best year.
It was also a great year.
Yeah.
But Idiocracy, the whole premise is like people just became dumber over time, and some guy got into a time capsule and woke up in like 50 years or something, and everybody was an idiot. Like literally, he was the smartest person on earth. And it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if AI starts doing everything for us in 50 years from now, what do we know? Or does it even matter? Is intellect even a currency anymore? That's kind of the debate that's happening right now. Is
Right.
intelligence and education even a currency?
I'm not smart enough to even process that thought right now. So I'm ahead of the game.
Throw it into AI.
Yeah, ask AI.
Yeah, ask AI.
I
That's what it says.
would, but I can't reach it. There's a microphone.
Well, I mean, not only that, but like you think about driving, right? Like, I mean, when I turned 16, I couldn't wait to actually go out and drive. In 20 years, you're not even going to need a driver's license.
They'll be like, Grandpa wants to drive again manually. Okay. That'll be so weird.
I'm teaching a kid to drive a stick right now. It's so gratifying. Like to watch your kid struggle and kill the car 7 times on a slight uphill incline. It's so great. I can do something that he can't do.
I'm trying to figure out if you're like the patient dad that's like, hey, it's okay. Or if you're like the, frustrated, like, why can't you figure this out? I would love to be a passenger in the Troy Hardy car.
I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. I don't know which one I am. I have to ask my kid. He'd probably say I'm a total jerk, but it's fun to learn these things. And I think to your guys, like these are going to be archaic practices, right? Like no one's going to be doing certain things, right? But that's where we're going to be so wise.
I really have become more bullish on AI's, the benefit of AI in commercial real estate. I think when all this stuff first started happening a couple of years ago, everybody was nervous about every industry and everyone's job was at risk. But I really feel like what we do in particular, brokerage or development, commercial real estate in general, I just don't think there's a lot of ways to intrude and disrupt that. I think it's really supplemental AI to what we are all doing. And so I'm increasingly more bullish about that whole, AI in commercial real estate.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I've been feeling that way, but I've also felt like maybe it was just my own bias that's telling me that, like trying to help soothe me through this transition of AI usage. But I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Now in 10 years from now, that could be totally different. No one can see past 3 years, it feels like at this point.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. It's a cool time to be alive, and it's fun industry to be in and see all the cool stuff that's happening.
For sure.
Can we talk about something really serious?
Mm-hmm.
On our last pod, we talked about that wakeboard park
Yeah.
at the point of the mountain.
Yeah.
And now there's a surf park being announced in Draper. What is
I'm
going,
all in.
What is going on?
Called
right now?
is it going to be called
You guys-
Called to Surf?
Yes. Well, no, there's already a call to surf.
That's
It's
true,
in
there is one. Is that still around?
Shops at Riverwood. Why would it go away?
That's true. It's
How
only
much
expanded.
water are they going to use?
I don't
Oh,
know.
come on.
Come on, man.
Water is it? Yeah.
Not
Don't worry about
important.
that.
No, I'm
Is it-
really excited about this.
I saw it,
and they
but-
said they're going to be training the U.S. Olympic team. First of all,
U.S. Olympic
why
what?
surfing
Oh,
would
like
train at this facility?
during
Is
January?
the ocean no longer a
I think
viable
the
option?
ocean is rented out.
The ocean's
They've got-
free.
yeah,
the waves just
no.
keep coming for free.
Guys, I didn't write
Capitalism
this thing.
at its finest.
Anyway, so pretty stoked on that. That's coming to Utah.
So is it I saw the release on it, but I didn't look into it. Is it a master plan community where there's going to be homes surrounding
I
the-
don't know. I was just looking at the glossy pictures of the wave. It's like an 8-foot wave.
Huh.
It's gonna be cool.
I'm all for it because there's going to be no sharks.
Yeah,
Like that's the
you
greatest thing.
can still drown, but
I'm not worried about drowning. I'm always like, if I go
Just
out in
the
the ocean,
sharks?
I am worried that back to the movie reference. I watched Jaws when I was way too young.
yeah,
And so every time I get in the
It's
water, I'm
always
like,
there.
I'm just going to get eaten by a
I've always
great
kind
white.
of thought of you as the predator, the apex when you're out there.
Maybe on land, but not in the ocean.
Maybe on land. So this will be the first surf park in northern Utah, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a handful of these wake surf parks and communities that have been built
Yeah.
all along the Wasatch Front.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be the
But
first.
not like a wave
This will be the
generated.
first wave park.
What was the
pretty
place
cool.
called up in Ogden? I'm sure it's still there. Wave Rider or Wave
Oh yeah.
Didn't we have
Standing-
Flow rider.
Flow rider.
But that's
The
not
standing
it's not a
wave.
standing wave. I mean, you're basically just on a.
Didn't we
a
have
foam
somebody
wave.
in the office that fell doing that and blew out his ACL?
I think multiple people.
I think multiple.
If you had been there during that activity, there was more carnage in that 2 hours. I mean, it was horrific.
Yeah.
And we were much younger then. We couldn't do it today.
It was
We
almost
couldn't-
as
we
bad
couldn't
as the
even go there today.
go-karting thing we did where multiple people had like neck injuries that have ruined their life.
And by the way, you're fast on a cart.
yeah.
I actually remember you had some elite speed
That's,
back then.
yeah.
We should probably do it again.
We should. I've gained 25 pounds since then, so probably going to have a hard
I
time.
feel like you slipped the dude a 20. You got a slightly faster cart, and then you just rubbed it in everybody's faces.
That was a
the
lot of
entire
fun.
afternoon.
Couldn't move for 3 weeks after that.
It was
but-
fun though.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it's been fun. Been real. Commission Impossible, episode 2 is a wrap. Thank you for joining the pod, and we'll see everybody next time. Thanks.